You're listening to Seattle Real Estate Podcast.
If you read a little bit of news, I read a lot of news, you've been reading about the Great Resignation. People quitting their jobs in record numbers. I've been following that story a little bit. We've got a labor shortage, a massive labor shortage everywhere you go. Where was I the other day? I think it was like Trader Joe's, and they literally had like help wanted, and they basically broke it down into like 6 different categories of jobs that they desperately need, employees for. And, you see the same thing. 7-Eleven's always hiring. I mean, all these companies are always hiring, and these are jobs that are a little bit harder to fill right now because people just don't want to do them. There's enough demand for jobs that are a step up from those types of positions that companies are having a hard time filling their entry-level positions. And now we've got an anti-work thread on Reddit. That's also partially, it's giving people ideas of, okay, yeah, I've been working really hard here. I need to quit. I need to do something more fulfilling. So the whole Great Resignation thing, if you're going to quit your job and you're going to take a better opportunity that is higher paying, something along those lines, hey, I'm all for upward mobility. If you're going to work your rear end off and you want to get rewarded and you want to rinse, repeat, and keep doing that till you work your way up wherever, I am all for that because that means you got to work hard. But if you're going to quit and just monkey around, or if you're going to work as little as humanly possible to still keep getting that paycheck, I'm not down. I'm not down for that. That's not how this works. And the way that comes back to us is in our productivity as a country. And guess what? We're competing against China. Do you think they're having a great resignation along these lines where people are just, I don't really want to work anymore. Not really finding my job being that fulfilling. Therefore, I need to take some time off and I need to find me. And I'm going to rail on that storyline. I really am. I'm not into that. I'm of probably a little bit more old school where you go out and if you work your rear end off, you will be rewarded eventually for all of your hard work. And if you're working for yourself, that's your business. If you're working for a company, you'll be recognized. And that is how you get ahead. You get ahead based on your merits, not on what you say you do. And then you have a computer bot do for you for your job. We're going to talk about that in a second. So let's jump on in here. But if you're new here, welcome. My name is Sean Reynolds. I own a couple of real estate companies. I read the news from that perspective. All right. So let's get going here. So the Great Resignation. I'm just going to quit and I need to find myself and I've just been working too hard. Another thing I was thinking about, what if, a lot of these folks had, more strenuous jobs? You know what I mean? So much of our stuff is just literally sitting at a desk, like typing stuff out. And that's what I do. I mean, I have to work at physically moving because otherwise, they say, sitting is the new smoking. Well, I mean, I don't think that's exactly true, but it doesn't help to just sit around all day and work, right? And you need to be up physically moving. But like in the days of agriculture, farming, you had to work your rear end off. And I think of those comparisons, people working those jobs relative to the, cushy jobs by those standards that we have now. And I don't really just want to do data entry that much longer anymore. It's not fulfilling. It's not about me enough. That's where I feel like this whole Great Resignation, a lot of it is going, is self-entitled people that haven't ever really worked that hard are saying, yeah, this just isn't for me. And there's enough out there to support these folks for the time being. This will come back around and there will be a reversal of this because that's how these things work. They say you have to work hard to get ahead, but some are finding you can work very little and still do pretty well. I'm not about skating by. I'm about overachieving because if you're that guy who people can't live without as far as their company goes, you're always going to have a job. When things lean out, and they will in this economy, they will. When things lean out, you're still going to have a job and you're going to be that go-to guy. Whereas the other guy who's just monkeying around and he's figured out how to do the very least for his effort, that guy is going to be gone and he's going to be struggling because people know when others don't work very hard. On Reddit, the anti-work subreddit is now one of the social network's most active and engaged pages after seeing explosive growth during the COVID-19 pandemic. I think a lot of people, when they were working from home, they had to focus on, do I really like this job? Maybe you don't like your job. That's different. Still work hard at your job because that is what, or work smart at your job. That's another angle too. And by working smart, I mean being more efficient, getting more done, not being lazy and getting the minimum done, but work smart, get a lot done. People will notice. That puts you in demand. That's the way I see it. You can be lazy if you want, but everybody knows who's lazy and who, looks good on the surface, but, there isn't much behind that work ethic. So the anti-work subreddit, it currently has more than 1.6 million users, up from 180,000 in October of 2020. People post epic text and email screenshots of quitting their jobs. But the real heroes are so-called idlers. Those who stay in jobs doing the absolute minimum to get by while still collecting a paycheck. All right. Those people, you're not my friends. You're lazy. I have no time for you. You want to work hard. You want to get ahead. And I think some of that is the appraisal industry. It's a widget industry. The more appraisals you do, the more money you make. So if you want to make something of yourself, if you want to have something for your children down the road, you're going to have to do a lot of appraisals. That means working hard and smart. And the sales side of things, Summit Properties Northwest, it's 100% commission. If you make 0 sales, you're going to make, you got it, $0. If you want to go out and, create gross commission income of $400,000 or $500,000 in a year, you can do that. You're going to work your rear end off, 6-7 days a week. You're going to work some 70, 80, maybe 90-hour weeks. And that's your call. That's how you get ahead in that game. Other people might say, well, I don't really work all that much. Well, yeah. But as a real estate agent, you have worked your entire career to bring in all those leads, all those connections, working your sphere, talking to people. All of that has a payday that builds exponentially as you're in the industry longer, if you can take it for that long. Because being a real estate broker, it's a burnout. I mean, it's high stress, and it's, especially in this market where everybody's competing over scraps, really tough, really difficult. There's not enough inventory to go around. Really only the top brokers are consistently doing well. Others down the food chain, they're having to rely upon whatever random stuff hits their sphere in order to make it go. And that does happen. So, but to just say, yeah, you know what? I just don't think I want to work that hard. All right. Well, that's your call. And you will have that associated with you as a person, and, you can live your life that way. I choose to live a little different life, something that's a little bit more aggressive where I'm actually working. Everyone has hit their limit with COVID, overwork, their mortgages, rent payments, and so many things with capitalism. All right, here we go. There's nothing wrong with wanting to take a break from that and do less of it, if you can afford it. But in order to afford that for a lot of folks, they're going to have to take a handout from who? Yep, you got it. You and I, the tax-paying citizens, right? A 30-year-old, and this was said by Doreen Ford, the page's moderator, a 30-year-old living in Boston. Ford once held a job in retail, but for the past 5 years, she's been self-employed as a dog walker, working about 25 hours a week. If you can make it go walking dogs at 25 hours a week, and if that's really what you want to do, and if you got maybe a side passion or something else, all right, and that's an approach. But to me, okay, it just kind of sounds like you're just trying to get by. And that's not really what I'm all about. That's not what I push out to people. And you don't have to be crazy, and you don't have to work 1 million hours a week. but you do have to work. That's how this goes. That is how this works. She noted that the general idea behind the anti-work movement is to reduce the coercive element of labor as much as possible by subverting capitalism. This is what's going on out there. People are believing this stuff. And if you want to look at socialism as a be-all and end-all, look at how that typically works out. Look at how that typically works out. I'm going to give you a hint. It's not great. It's not great. That's why there are millions of people streaming into this country, because they know that if they can get in and they can get legit, they can get legal, they can make some money. Whereas in other countries that might not have the capitalistic system that we have, they're not going to be able to do it. It's a no-go. So I think we got a lot of spoiled people here in the United States who are just like, it's capitalism, it's awful, it's horrible. Wait a minute, really? Why don't you do a little deep dive on that and get back to me? And this person said that those active on the page are mainly far leftists who support Bernie Sanders and AOC, and often also identify as socialists, communists, and or anarchists. Not shocking. This is some of the stuff I heard at CHOP. I mean, a lot of this stuff, not necessarily the Great Recession, but just capitalism is bad. Capitalism is bad. It's like, well, why don't you do a deep dive and figure out how the rest of this all works and see what that looks like, and we'll talk, because I'm going to go with capitalism for right now. I'm going to go with that. Maybe I'm really skewed as a small business owner because, you know, you got to work hard to make this go. And if you don't, well, you know, you're not going to benefit from the system. And you might be saying right now, well, I'm not benefiting already. Well, how hard are you working? You know, what are your goals? What are you working towards? I don't have any goals. All right. Well, then you're going to get there really quick. In fact, you're there right now. How's that working out for you? I mean, this is pretty basic stuff, right? That's the way I see it. So among them are users like Podcast Questions, who boasted that they made $80,000 a year by answering 1 to 2 calls a week and literally nothing else. Another user, an anonymous IT professional, bragged about taking things a step further, automating their gig at a law firm with a simple script that performed their entire job for over a year. Company brass didn't catch on, and the employee was still paid $90,000 a year. Couple of thoughts there. All right, if your company doesn't have oversight for that kind of thing, and you can get away with that, you know, all right, I'll give you that. But big picture, I'm not on board with that. That's ridiculous. That company is just bleeding out money. And that's what makes a company go under, is mismanagement and lack of, producing anything. Lack of producing anything. We're on a country by country basis, and we've got this global economy. And if you're not producing like other countries are, guess what? You're going to fall behind. Does that sound familiar? Does that sound familiar at all? And we got a bunch of knuckleheads. Oh, the great unworking. I mean, just phenomenal. Some fear anti-workers could have far-reaching consequences for the economy. Financial Times recently reported that Goldman Sachs was fretting that the movement posed a long-run risk to labor force participation. What I'm going to say there is that if you're an employer and you work hard at getting the right employees, you will be able to find the people that you need. Right now, it may just take longer, because if you have an opportunity that's a solid opportunity for somebody to get in and get going, there are always new people to the labor force, people coming out of college, people graduating from high school, people getting their life back together. Hey, I need a decent job. If you provide that opportunity, if you pay, what the market requires, maybe you give them a little bit of health care if your industry allows that, if you've got enough money to do that. Because so many people are like, well, do I have 2 weeks vacation? Do I have health care? Healthcare is the one thing that I believe is important, because if you go sideways down the healthcare route, as far as not having any healthcare coverage and something happens to you, that could put you under financially in a heartbeat. And I don't want to see that for anybody. Paid vacation. Hey, if you want to take some time off, you may not get paid, but go have fun. That's kind of how I do it. And I pay a little bit of paid vacation, but the way I grew up and the way that I did things was vacation. You didn't get paid for vacation. You took time off. You get paid for eat what you kill. It's as simple as that. You eat what you kill. And that is capitalism. And you could only do so many shortcuts before people realize, all right, yeah, this isn't really going the way that we envisioned it going. We're going to need to make some changes. We're going to need to make some corrections. The anti-work subreddit shows people doing just that. Basically, taking their low-end jobs and telling their bosses to shove it. Take this job and shove it. Who was that? Was that Dolly Parton, I think? One user, a technician of some sort, who goes by the name 𝒔𝒕𝒕𝒍, posted screenshots of a demanding email sent to their boss. They noted that their skills are high in demand this year and asking for a 6.8% raise, a work week of no more than 45 hours, a company phone, and a new car with a working air conditioner, all in the name of personal growth. They are just basically creating their own one-man union, and they are demanding labor changes, which is what is happening with companies across the United States. Right now, I'm not kidding. I had to take my garbage to another garbage location from home because we are no longer having our garbage picked up by our major garbage company. Yeah, we're not going to be swinging by this week is kind of the voicemail you get. I'll see it come up on my phone. I'm like, all right, let's hear what they have to say now. Due to a labor dispute in California, your garbage in Washington is not going to be picked up. Isn't that handy? So you go out to your garbage can, you put all your garbage in one big bag and you haul it out, you put it in your car and you take it to another part of the city where they are picking up garbage and you do your thing there. It's like, what are we doing here? Well, we've got the Great Resignation and we've got labor disputes and all kinds of stuff. So you've got right now, you're able to get away with this stuff. If you're an employee, then you're asking for these demands. Right now, you might be able to get away with this, but guaranteed your employer will remember this down the road when things switch out a little bit. Maybe your boss leaves. Maybe you get a new boss in who isn't quite as on board with whatever your demands are. That's kind of the way I see it. So be careful if you're one of these folks considering the Great Resignation because, you want to go off and walk some dogs. And there's nothing wrong with dog walking. Good exercise. You're outside, you're picking up poop, you're just doing your thing. And maybe you love pets. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you're on the corporate grind and you're going, I don't see anything wrong with that either. People might say, well, it's not healthy though. They're sitting at their computer for too many. You got to figure this stuff out, folks. You can't micromanage everybody. If somebody wants to work a bunch of hours, let them and say, hey, if that's your deal and that's what you want to do, go for it. Knock yourself out. Don't kill yourself. The Japanese culture has literally a term, I believe it's a phrase, or is it a word or wording for working yourself to death. And it's kind of the first culture to really have that because other cultures don't really do that. But man, Japanese economy, when they want to go hard on something, they certainly go. Same with China. They just to the point where it's probably not healthy. So you got to find that fine balance. But this whole great resignation thing, this is on the lazy end of that balance, in my opinion, because you still got to work. You still got to contribute. If you want to be one of these people that's a taker, I'm not on board with that because I'm paying for your taking through my taxpayers' dollars. And, then you literally do go down that whole socialism thing. Well, somebody needs to take care of me, take care of them. They're not working. I was watching a, Coin, the network down in Portland, and a news reporter from Coin went in with police into this really gnarly homeless encampment on Airport Way. And they went in there, and within a few hours, they came up with, I think it was 12 stolen vehicles in just a few hours. They're walking up and down like this kind of alleyway road thing with the, it's by the airport. It's in one of these areas. It's just this wreck of an area. And you've just got these, not burned out cars like Escape from New York with Kurt Russell, which is one of the greatest movies of all time. But think along those lines without the burned out cars. You've just got, abandoned cars that aren't abandoned. They were chopped. People stole them, took them to the homeless encampment and stole them. Those folks are taking our money. Those homeless folks are taking our money, and then they're committing these crimes that they're not being punished for because you don't have enough police coverage in Portland to make a difference. And when these folks do get caught, guess what? The district attorneys just turn them right back out and, hey, good luck out there. Just like on the whole stealing from the trains thing down in LA. Good luck out there. Yeah, you stole some stuff, but it wasn't a lot. We know it was a crime of need, so you go for it. All of these things are interconnected. And if you want to say, hey, there are some people that really need help, okay, that's fine. I just did a podcast earlier today, and it was on a family that their home literally slid down the hillside in Bellevue yesterday because a water main broke. Big mudslide knocked their home down. It was once vertical. It's now 45 degrees. Those are the kind of people, their dry cleaning business, the vans for their dry cleaning business, which they have run from out of the home for years, are literally, in the midst of all this muck and debris and the houses down the hillside. Those are people that really need help. Not the folks in the homeless encampments stealing cars, chopping them up and selling them for parts so they can get their next fix. Big difference there. That's kind of where I draw those lines. So I'm a hard line in the sand kind of guy, and I see things a little bit differently than the great, the great whatevers. We've had enough great whatevers, right? The Great Resignation. It's just so annoying. All right. That's enough for me on this one. Great Resignation. Okay, whatever. You're going to have to get back to things at some point in time, and it's go time. So if you do quit your job, I hope it's because you are quitting it to take advantage of another one that you've created through your hard work. All right. I'm okay with that. Anything else? Yeah. Let's get back to work, folks. You got a labor shortage out there. Do your part. Okay. That's it for me on this one. Thanks so much for being here. I'll catch up with you in the next one. Talk soon. Bye for now.